Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a horror film, Scarecrows. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The film begins in a cornfield where a farmer whistles as he drags his newly created scarecrow in the middle of the field. He digs up a spot, puts the scarecrow, and returns to the barn. Not long after, the scarecrow, which turns out to be an actual human, regains consciousness. But she can only let out muffled screams as she realizes that there is no one to help her. The scene then transitions to a group of friends stopping at a remote gas station where the two ladies, Devin and Ash, get out of the convertible car to pee their wastewater. Ely, the at least decent guy on the trip, looks at the ladies as they walk away and blurts out that he loves Ash. Farbsy is the typical high school jock-looking guy, and he is frustrated upon hearing this, because he thinks Ely is wasting an endless opportunity to hormone exchange with lots of girls. Farbsy gets even more frustrated when Ely shows him a promise ring that he will give to Ash. Meanwhile, Devin, who is the bossy friend in the group, pressures Ash to break up with Ely because she says that college guys cannot be trusted. The guys begin to argue when something suddenly drops on the windshield. They take a look at it and realize that it is a thumb. They check the area to see where it came from, but only find a crow flying by. This freaks out Ely that he wants to call the cops, but Farbsy calms him down, as he does not want to ruin their weekend getaway. They then see the ladies walking back to the car, so Farbsy lifts up the back hood of the car and attempts to remove the thumb from the windshield by the windscreen wiper. However, it only spread the blood on the glass, almost making them puke. Farbsy instructs Ely to distract the ladies, while he takes care of the thumb and the mess on their windshield. Farbsy kicks the thumb underneath the car and wipes off the blood on the glass. Ash returns to the car with Farbsy to take their belongings, allowing Ely to check out Devin's behind, showing through her shorts. Devin notices him and flirts with him a little. Devin's tease gets interrupted when the other two get out of the car. Their weekend getaway to a blue lagoon starts with Miller's Trail. Despite the sign that there is no trespassing, the group still hikes the trail. Devin's bitchiness irritates them on their way, but they continue walking, passing by the strange scarecrow in the cornfield, which ironically does not scare a crow. Meanwhile, a guy runs in the middle of the field, screaming for help at the top of his lungs. He has removed the sack over his head, revealing blood and thread from his mouth that has been sewn. However, instead of help, he hears the farmer's whistle, and before he can run again, he is held captive. After a long trail, the group finally reaches the picturesque Blue Lagoon. Farbsy quickly removes all of his clothes, revealing everything literally, and then runs to the water like a little child. The ladies follow his lead. They remove their clothes, but leave on their undergarments before joining Farbsy. Left with no choice, Ely removes his clothes except his boxers and joins his friends. They then play with the water, not knowing the dangers are coming to them. Shortly after, Ely and Ash get out of the water and sit by the lagoon, where Ely gives Ash the promise ring. Farbsy and Devin join them shortly after and wait for their bodies and clothes to dry. As the bitchy boss that she is, Devin instructs the guys to find a way to take the car near the lagoon because she will not be walking back on that long trail. Not long after the guys leave, Ash hears a noise, but she dismisses it when Devin ignores it. Meanwhile, after arguing which way is the right way, the guys finally return to the gas station, only to discover that their car has been stolen. Farbsy screams so loud from frustration and anger that the ladies hear his voice. This freaks out the ladies, thinking that Peeping Tom is creeping on them. So Devin loudly makes a threat, but then runs off with Ash when they hear a noise for the third time. On the other hand, the guys engage in a fight as they blame each other for their stolen car. Shortly after, the ladies show up and Devin is pissed at them. She stops their fight and instructs them to start the car so they can leave. But Ely informs them that the car has been stolen. Ely calms their hot dogs down as everyone is pissed, tired, hungry, and thirsty from the hike. They need to stick together and figure out a way to leave that place and go to Paradise Beach. Ash then notices the farmer not far from them, so she informs the trio and they all walk toward him. However, as they reach him, the farmer suddenly disappears. The group then notices a fence, so they go to the other side of it, leading to the cornfield. However, Farbsy remains standing as he remembers how he broke his marble balls on a fence in the 6th grade. His friends taunt him for being afraid of a fence, so Farbsy faces his fear. However, he slips, damaging his rolling balls again, making him scream so loud from the pain. The ladies laugh while Ely pulls him out from the fence. However, the wire cuts off his back leg skin, creating a wound. Ely removes his shirt and wraps it around Farbsy's wound. Ely picks him up and helps him walk as they need to get him medical help. They stop inside the cornfield and lean down Farbsy to a scarecrow. Ely volunteers to find the barn, and Devin decides to come with him. Ash notices that Devon has been clinging to Ely, but she dismisses it as she trusts Ely, and because Farbsy needs help. Soon enough, they see the barn, so Ely repeatedly shouts, hoping that someone will hear him. However, Devon has other plans. She seduces and tempts Ely, and even though he tries to stop himself, Ely succumbs to the temptation. Meanwhile, to endure the excruciating pain he's experiencing, Farbsy takes out 2 Ziploc bags full of high-class drugs. He asks for Ash's help to make him a huge joint to hit, which she willingly does. On the other hand, Ely stops Devon from pleasuring him as he hears someone whistling. As he turns around to follow the sound, the farmer comes out from the side and punches him hard in the face, knocking him out. Devon tries to escape, but the farmer knocks her unconscious with his farming tool. He then drags her body from the cornfield to the barn, leaving Ely in there for a while. Meanwhile, Ash joins Farbsy in hitting a joint. As she takes a hit, Ash notices the creepy and strange-looking Scarecrow. Farbsy diverts her attention as he needs to take a dump. At first, Ash does not want to be involved, but Farbsy is injured. He either takes a smelly dump there and sits there until their partners return, or Ash will take him to a dumping area. Left with no choice, Ash takes Farbsy to a dumping area not far from the Scarecrow. Simultaneously, the farmer takes Devon to the barn and ties her to a chair near the runner from a while ago. The runner sits across from her, with his eyes open and his lips sewn together. Devon wakes up and panics as she realizes her situation. She pleads with the farmer to let her go, but instead he removes his belt and wraps it around her neck to keep her still. Devon repeatedly screams for help and begs the farmer to free her, but instead, he also sews her lips together. Devon still screams, but they are muffled. Irritated by the noises, the farmer punches her in the face, immediately making her unconscious. Then he picks up the runner to make him a scarecrow. On the other hand, the night has come, and Farbsy is still taking a dump, while Ash returns to the Scarecrow to wait for him to finish. As she inspects the Scarecrow, Ash discovers that it is not stuffed with farming straws. It is something else. Also, worms and maggots are crawling in it, which falls on her. Ash screams in disgust and shock and hurriedly removes them from her dress. At that same time, Farbsy is almost done taking a long and smelly dump when he hears someone whistling. He dismisses that and continues his business, while Ash patiently waits for him. Meanwhile, Devon wakes up and sees the farmer entering the farm with Ely, who is still unconscious on his shoulders. He ties him to the rocking chair and prepares to inject him with a paralyzing drug. Because of this, Devon forces her mouth to open and repeatedly screams to Ely to wake up, but her attempt is futile. Ely remains unconscious and she pisses off the farmer again, so he decides to inject her with the drug, paralyzing her body. After that, he takes a burlap sack that he sewed and puts it over her head. Meanwhile, Ash lets out a muffled scream as someone covers her mouth. He takes her away from the Scarecrow and confesses that he has been watching them from the moment they stopped at the gas station. He says that they made a big mistake trespassing and that there is no way for them to get home. He convinces Ash to come with him and leave Farbsy because he will get her to safety. Although doubtful about the strange man who suddenly showed up, Ash has no choice but to trust him. He takes her to the barn, where Ash discovers that he was the one who stole their car. Despite that, she still trusts him, as she has no choice. They enter the barn, where the strange man confesses something disturbing to her. All the scarecrows in the cornfield are humans. They were alive when the farmer put them up, but they never came down and died from malnutrition. The strange man points to the corpse tied to the wooden ceiling and explains that the farmer kills all the trespassers because they killed his wife. Suddenly, they hear the back door rattling, so the strange man points to the barrel, where Ash runs toward and hides. The farmer enters the barn, and the strange man calls in his father. The farmer instructs his son to drag the unconscious Farbsy to the white chair. Ash holds her mouth to keep herself from making any noise as she watches them. They tie Farbsy to the chair and then remove the burlap sack over Ely's head, revealing his lips sewn together. The son ties Ely to a wooden cross while the farmer nails his right arm, getting muffled screams of pain from Ely. After that, he moves on to Ely's left arm, but before he can nail it, Ash gets out from her hiding spot and screams at him to stop. The son can only close his eyes to the devastation as Ash voluntarily puts herself in danger. The farmer drops the hammer, and Ash charges at him while holding a scratch awl. The farmer holds her hands before she can harm him and headbutts her, knocking her unconscious. After that, the son helps his father put Ely up as a scarecrow and leaves him in the cornfield. The son returns to the barn after that and helps Ash escape. However, his father shows up, stopping them from leaving the barn. The son pleads with his father to stop killing these tourists because the death of his wife was an unfortunate mistake. The trespassers accidentally killed his wife, but they never meant to end her life. The farmer only nods in response, and Ash shakingly leaves the barn. As soon as she goes, the farmer stabs his son in the neck with a knife for betraying him and messing up his plan. Ash runs into the cornfield, where she discovers that Devin has died and is now a human scarecrow. Ash calms herself down and continues to run in the cornfield, as it is the only way for her to leave the land. However, the farmer, now dressed up as a scarecrow, chases her. Ash runs away from him, but the farmer catches up to her, so she wounds him on the face with a scratch awl. After that, she repeatedly kicks him and continues with her escape. Ash hears Farbsy's muffled scream and groans of pain, so she takes a shovel and removes the nail from his arm. However, the farmer suddenly shows up behind her, pushes her to the ground, and chokes her. Farbsy forcefully opens his mouth and curses the farmer, diverting his attention and allowing Ash to escape. However, she hears him whistling, so Ash runs away again, and when she finally gets out of the cornfield, she trips and hits her head, knocking herself unconscious. After a while, she wakes up to the sound of car music, and when she looks up, she finds a car parked nearby. Ash endures the pain and crawls her way to the car, repeatedly screaming for help. The driver's girlfriend ignores her, as he is having the time of his life with his girl in between his legs. Ash drags herself to the car and desperately reaches for the door lock. Unfortunately, the farmer appears and drags her into the cornfield. The film ends the following day, with Ash and her friends and the runner as another victim, turned into scarecrows in the cornfield of the psychotic farmer. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.